Hello, this is Vicky from the Spellbound Bead Company. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this bracelet, which uses oval candy beads, some 4mm facets, and two colours of size 10 seed beads. Now, this one I've done in teal and gold, and I've put a ball and socket fastener on it, which is one that just pops together and pops apart like a press stud. So that's quite a nice bracelet. I use quite a nice clasp. I use these a lot on bracelets because I find them nice and easy to do. The sample that I'm going to make today, I'm actually going to use a bead and loop fastener on. So I'm going to use two 6mm facets. And as you can see, I'm doing this one in pink, purple and silver. So what you're going to need to make a bracelet that's approximately 7 inches long is I've got 15 oval candy beads. Now these beads they're flat on the back, domed on the front, and they've got two parallel holes that run through the middle of the bead. So you just need to pay a little bit of attention when you're picking these up to make sure that you're picking them up so they'll all face the same way. So it's worth taking the time to just make sure that all of these beads are facing upright. So I've got 15 candy beads, so I'm going to need 14 facets. These are 4mm and these are from our Terra finish range. I've got the two 6mm facets I'm going to use for the clasp. I've got some pink Terra Matte Cerise size 10, and I've got some purple. These are Terra Matte Purple size 10. I've also got some Nymo I'm going to start with about 1.5 meters of Nymo. I'll probably have to add some thread as I go along, but that's okay. If you work with more than sort of about an armful of thread, then it can get quite knotted, which leads to frustration. So I've just threaded a size 10 needle, and I'm just going to tie a keeper bead about 10 to 15 centimetres from the end of the thread. So that'll just give me a tail to work and it will stop all my beads falling off. So to make the bracelet, we're going to start. You're going to go back and forth quite a bit. So we're going to start by coming down the one side and adding the seed beads and going through the first hole in the candy beads. We're then going to attach the bead loop to this end here. So we're actually going to add the tag. So we're going to add the 6mm facets. We're then going to come back up this second side of the bracelet and we're going to make the bead loop. We're going to make the bead loop to go on the other end around the facet. So that will be the clasp. We're then going to come back through the candy beads again, and this time we're going to add the seed bead and facet decoration that's on the top. So we're going to go up one way and then come back down the other, finish off any threads, and our bracelet will be complete. So it's quite a repetitive thread path. We're going to go up and down, but it does come together quite quickly, so I find it quite satisfying. So I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to start. I'm just going to move the purple seed beads just out the way slightly. I'm going to start by going through one hole on the candy bead and picking up 3 of the pink. And I'm just going to repeat this till I've used all of the candy beads that I've got there. So 1 candy bead, 3 seed beads, all the way along. Now, these seed beads you're only going to really see on the side of the bracelet. So on this sample here, you can just see they're sort of on the bottom layer and around the loop. So I'm using a contrasting one, partly because it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing, but partly just because I like pink and purple. You could use the coordinating one if you wanted something that's a bit more subtler. You could use one to match the candy beads. You could use something darker, something brighter, but I just like the pink and purple combination. So we'll just keep going. Okay. So there you can see I've got my 15 candy beads all sat in a row. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this connection here to the clasp, but rather than this one where I've got a jump ring and a metal clasp, I'm going to add my facets to make a bead tag. So I'm going to pick up 3 pink seeds, and then I'm going to pick up a purple, and then to make the clasp loop I'm going to pick up 2 pink, one of the purple 6mm facets, and then I'll go pink, purple, pink to give me a bit of interest in the middle, my second facet, and then I'm going to pick up 4 of the pink beads, 4 of the pink beads, and I'm going to make a picot edge here. So what I'm going to do is the first bead that I've added here, I'm going to go back through that one, and then I'm going to go back through all of these beads here till I'm coming out of that purple bead that I added at the beginning of this step. So I'm going to pull, oops, drop everything, let's pick that up. Sorry everybody. And I'm going to come back through that bead. Okay, and there you can see we've got the tag end of our bracelet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down the strand, and I'm going to pick up 3 seed beads and pass through the next candy bead along. So 3. So really for this one, as long as you can count to 3, then you'll be absolutely fine. So I'm going to hold this in my hand because I just find it a little bit easier. And just take your time and make sure none of your beads are twisted. You haven't got any loops of thread caught anywhere you shouldn't have. Let's move myself across a little bit so I'm not drifting quite so far off the screen. Okay, and 1, 2, and that's us back to the start of the bracelet. So as you can see there, we've just got 3 beads in between each candy bead on both, coming through both of the holes. So we've got the bead tag on this end. So on this end we're just going to add the loop. So it starts in the same way. So we're going to pick up 3 pink beads and a purple, and now we're going to add sufficient pink seeds to go around this clasp. So I'm going to start with about 15. So that's 15 of those. And I'll come back through this purple seed bead, and we'll check to see if that loop fits over this facet. So bear in mind that when we've come back, we're going to add another reinforcement to this, so that should be okay because it will pull a little bit tighter, but just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to take one bead off. So if you just pull that back, and take one bead off the end of here. Now, because these are a seed bead with a coating on, they're slightly larger than one that's just a plain glass bead. So just bear that in mind, that you might just need to alter the number of beads. If you've got a bead that's frosted, then it will be slightly smaller. If you've got one that's just a plain chalk bead, then that will be slightly smaller than this bead. Because this is coated, it just makes it slightly larger. So just bear that in mind when you're adding your beads. So I'm going to pick up 3 more beads, and I'm going to pass through that candy bead there. And then we've got our bead and loop fastening. So if you wanted to leave your bracelet at this point, then that's quite nice. So just run your needle and thread through all of the beads again to reinforce them. But while we're doing that, we will just add some more beads and give it another layer. So this time we're going to be working diagonally across the spaces between the candy beads. So what we'll do is, this time I'm going to work with the purple seeds. I'm going to pick up a size 10, 1/4mm facets, and another size 10. And I'm coming out of this side here, so I'm going to go in through that hole on the other side of the oval there, and we're going to repeat. So pick up 3 and go across. And again, we're going to do this all the way down the length of the bracelet. And there's the last one. There. So just move those spare beads out of the way and pull through there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up and round through the beads on this tag to reinforce it. So that will give it a second pass of thread, which will help keep it nice and secure. So just go through a few beads at a time. And then we're going to go round. And back down there. And through the other leg. And through the candy bead. Now, this time, I'm just going to turn this around so I'm working away from myself again. We're going to pick up a seed bead, go through the facet, and a second seed bead, and through the candy. And what you'll find is, as you pull that taut, the beads will just sit across the top of the bead. It'll pull it into a nice shape, a nice diagonal. And then this one. and go through. Now I'm going through these facets so that the holes are running as I'm looking at it, my work here, left to right. You can go through your facets in the other direction if you prefer, so you can go through so that the holes are sitting, as we're looking at the work here, top to bottom through this way. It doesn't really matter which you do as long as you're consistent, because a faceted round is actually ever so slightly oval. It's not a true round. It will be obvious if they're lying in the wrong direction. So as long as you're consistent, it doesn't really matter which way you choose to do it. I like the fact that all the oval shapes are sort of sitting in the same direction, but you might like to vary it up a bit. Now, of course, I'm just working with the 3 colours here. There's nothing to stop you using more colours of facets, different seed beads, having a plane coming up with lots of different colour combinations. So through. We're nearly there, and I should have just enough thread to get to the end. Whoops. Just a couple more to go. And through the last one. Okay, so again we're going to go through the loop on this end of the bracelet and make sure it's nice and secure. And through there. And just make sure that you don't get anything caught. Okay, so now I'll take this keeper bead off here and just check I haven't got any beads stuck to my hand. I'm going to start by just tying the working thread and the tail thread together in just a couple of knots, just to hold it nice and secure. And then I'm just going to finish off this thread, so I'm going to come through the candy bead, through a couple of seed beads there, and I'm going to tie a knot around the thread. So pull that down, through another bead. Now you just need to take your time because these beads are getting a little bit full of thread. So as long as you're not using too thick a thread or anything, then you should be absolutely fine. So just make sure that sits in the right place. And we'll go through another couple of beads. And then we'll take the needle off and we'll trim that thread. And then this other thread we'll finish off in the same way. So because I've already come down this way with the other thread, I'm going to go back up through a few beads here and tie a knot. Through another couple of beads. Oops, trim that tail, and there we have our oval candy bead bracelet, either with a bead and loop fastening, or if you prefer, you can have it with a ball and socket fastening. Hope you've enjoyed the video. We'd love to see what you make. Feel free to get in touch. Our website is www.spellboundbead.co.uk. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook just by searching Spellbound Bead Company. Thank you.